This episode is brought to you by the world's first reposado from Tequila Herradura. Made with slow-cooked, hand-harvested agave sealed into oak barrels and aged 11 months. Before being enjoyed in your glass. Experience the world's first reposado, Tequila Herradura. Please drink responsibly. Responsibility.org. Tequila Herradura. 40% alcohol by volume. Imported by Brown-Forman, Louisville, Kentucky. Herradura is a registered trademark. Copyright 2025 Brown-Forman Corporation.
Abercrombie's viral denim sale is back, and Spotify listeners get an extra 15% off with code SpotifyAF. Abercrombie is known for their denim. With 30 to 50% off all jeans, find out how denim should fit. Shop the viral denim sale in the Abercrombie app, online, or in stores. Valid in stores and online through August 11th, 2025 in U.S. and Canada. Excludes clearance, price reflects discount. Code valid in U.S. and Canada through August 11th, 2025. Exclusions apply. See details online.
Guys, are you kidding me? We're doing another romance scam? Another one? Really? Why?
Because it never ends. Romance scams never end, and none of them are the same.
Yeah, I mean, even if they follow a lot of the same beats, they're always different because the victim is different.
All right, I'm game. Let's go.
And with that, welcome to What the Hack, the true cybercrime podcast. I'm Adam Levin.
I'm Beau Friedlander.
And I'm Travis Taylor.
Beth Hyland, thank you so much for joining us on What the Hack today.
Thank you for having me.
I understand we're really lucky to have you today because you've had some pretty heavy weather there in Michigan.
Yeah, we had a tornado, a couple of them, but one in particular that cuts down, and it actually went right over my apartment complex, but it has caused a lot of damage, a lot of areas, and it was pretty scary.
Everything's good, and you are okay.
I am okay. There were no deaths and no serious injury. And that's truly amazing because there was a lot of homes destroyed, and there's a FedEx building that was half of it is collapsed. So we got very lucky.
What do you do for work?
I work for the city of Portage in the finance department as an administrative assistant.
So slim pickings probably there for dating material.
Yeah, there's a couple like that. I thought, well, maybe, but I don't know. It's just nothing's really ever panned out. I don't know. Workplace romance. Sometimes I wonder if that's a good idea.
I think it's a horrible idea, which is why I'm going to ask you, which one in particular seems like a good prospect to you?
He's trying to get you into trouble.
It's an IT guy. You know, I already told him I sent him chocolates through interoffice mail on Valentine's Day.
Nice.
And then one time a bunch of us were hanging out, and I'm like, I had a couple drinks, and I thought, maybe I'll tell him, like, did you get those chocolates on Valentine's Day? He goes, I did. They were from you. He thought someone was playing a joke on him, and I said, that was from me.
Wait, now, Beth, you sent chocolates through interoffice mail to your crush, but you didn't sign them.
No, I said I'm a secret admirer.
Gosh, that's awesome.
What did he say when you told him you were his secret admirer?
He goes, I was calling all the usual suspects and thinking it was them prank, and so no, that was me. I said, just flirting, and he was like, thank you. He goes, nothing's happened since then. The next time we had this, it's like a weekly going out to drinks after work with a couple different departments. And the next time I went, he came over and sat next to me the rest of the night, but nothing's ever happened. So I don't know.
If he's in IT, he might need things spelled out for him a little more clearly.
Yes, completely.
I was thinking that I was going to be like, do I have to hit you over the head?
Listen, he probably is. You could touch his hand 5 times during a conversation, tell him he's handsome, and he still wouldn't get it. So you might just have to accidentally bump into him and kiss him.
Maybe. Or do you want to go out on a date?
Get a t-shirt that says, first name, my friend from IT. Do you want to go out on a date?
Wear to work on casual day.
Well, we hope the best for you and the IT guy, but today you're here to tell us about a different dating story. One that started on Tinder.
Yeah.
So did you like what you found on Tinder overall?
No.
I had a feeling.
Lots of swiping left.
Okay, Travis, did you hear that? That was like an absolutely no. Nope.
People seem like good prospects, and then it's like they either come on really strong, or it's like pulling teeth to get them to have a conversation and go out, or to meet.
Yeah.
And
How are you with like the dudes with no t-shirts holding big fish that they've caught? There's a lot of that, right?
Yeah, I hate it. That doesn't do anything for me.
My daughters are, of dating age. One is in a very serious relationship and the other is not. I've had the occasion to see both of their windows into Tinder and other places like that because they show it to me. We're close and we think it's funny. Boy, it's just a catastrophe of humanity on there. The way that people present themselves, the whole thing is just like, it's kind of sad. And I get it. It is hard to find the right one. My guess is the ones who were not so chatty and the ones who needed prodding, those were the good ones. Those are probably the good ones.
How many profiles did you see before you found somebody that you actually connected with?
I think I went on for a month or two and went off for a couple months. And then I got some more pictures and went back on, and then maybe 50 to 100.
And so the way that Tinder works, are they, does it just does it show you profiles of people who live in your area, or is it just worldwide?
You can narrow it down to people in your area, but they still would show me profiles outside of it.
So that's all that too. Like you'd say, I want people who are 10 miles away. It'll be like, how about this person from Hawaii? And you're like, no.
So Richard, the guy I finally connected with, his profile said he was from Fort Wayne, and I think that's 2 hours from here. And I thought that they would automatically filter that for me. And I don't know. I'm wondering if I would have swiped on him if I had seen that. I don't know. If they seemed interesting enough, I thought, well, what do you do? Meet halfway? And then, I don't know. If it works out, do you move halfway? I don't know.
So you swiped right on Richard, and only then you found out that he lived in a different state?
One of the first things I said is, I noticed that you are in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And he asked where I was. It's in Portage, Michigan. It's about 2 hours away. And he goes, well, we can make that work. And I thought, okay. I just kind of went along. I mean, very new to me, the online thing. So I think I was just willing to see where it was going to go.
So what stood out about Richard?
I consider myself a really spiritual person and self-aware. His profile was very similar.
How similar was his brand of spirituality and the wording of it to your brand of spirituality?
Maybe a little too similar looking back.
I do remember I am a superstitious person at core. When I was on dating apps, and I was on a different one, but when I had a couple of near misses with people, I was like, maybe we date. And then all of a sudden they must have been like, no, this guy seems like a douche. And then they were gone. I was like, I wonder what it was that made them think I was douchey besides my personality. And I would go into my bio and change a thing or two. And it's very easy to do. And the changes propagate in the bio immediately. So it's quite possible that happened. Yeah. Did you happen? This is a very persnickety question, but it didn't change, did it? Did you read it and go like, oh my gosh, I didn't notice that he said that before. So did you do that and did it change, or did you just remember he seems like a good fit?
I remember thinking he seemed like a good fit. The wording I used was like, I've done a lot of work on myself. And his was like, I've done the work. I've healed myself. I've done a lot of I don't know. And I've never seen a profile since then that says that.
So he's like, I've done the work and I'm ready for love.
Yeah, basically.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
So you and Richard had this amazing connection on Tinder. What was it like?
felt like beginning of a relationship, but it just moved really fast. Like it just felt like we had a lot in common. And I don't know, it's like he started saying like, oh, you're really sweet, you know, and then I would say, oh my God, that's so nice of you. And then it just built from there. And before I know it was maybe a week and a half into chatting, we went off in fact, I suggested going off the app after a few days. I thought, you know, I like this guy, let's talk on the phone. And I think we were already saying, I'm falling for you. It was so subtle the way she groomed me, but it was happening. And I didn't even know that was possible, the manipulation that they do.
What were some of the other steps that he took to move fast?
He said he was going to play golf, and I went for a walk. And I got a text message from him saying, I just want you to know, while I'm taking a break from the game, I just want you to know that I'm thinking about you. And for some reason, that really struck me as wow, that really touched me. And I think the heart emoji started pretty early, the kissing emoji, and he really listened and really tuned into what I was saying, and just a lot of compliments. He's really interested in as the person. And I think that's a big part of what drew me in.
And did he ask you a lot of questions?
He asked me, he was texting me, he said, are you happy? And I said, I'm happy. And he said, happiness is about moments, right? And I said, well, yeah, every emotion's temporary. And he said, that's why I don't chase happiness. And that's like a very spiritually evolved concept. And so that really drew me into spirituality and knowledge. And we connected on a really deep level. It wasn't a lot of surface conversation. It was deep.
Where does it go? Do you meet up? Do you decide to get married? Are you going to adopt a child somewhere? What's going on?
Another thing I forgot to mention of the poems that he started, just that those were quite amazing. And he had me writing poems. They were just pouring out of me, and the butterflies and the whole, oh my God, you know. I mentioned wanting to meet, and he said he wanted to as well. And so we matched on a Monday. Following weekend went by, and then early that next week, we talked about meeting halfway at a coffee shop. I can't remember the name of it, but it was really cozy. He said, I want to meet, but I might have to go to San Diego. He said he was a freelance project manager in construction for the government. I tried to ask him, what company do you work for? He's like, it's not a company, it's the government. So he said there was a project that was getting behind in San Diego, and we might need to go over there to see what was going on. And I don't know, I had a feeling that he was going to have to go. And sure enough, that Friday, he said he had to go. And so he said it would only be like a week or two.
At this point in the relationship, how much did you actually know about Richard?
He had a house in Paris. He had a house in San Diego. He was renting a house in Fort Wayne. The house in Paris was where his mom was living. He had a daughter that died a year ago of leukemia. He was 2 years out of a divorce because his wife cheated on him with his best friend during COVID. He was away on a job, so he couldn't get back. And he had been in the country. He was born in France. He had been in the country, I think, 20 or 30 years. He went looking for his father, who came over to the country. Then he found out that he was dead. He had like a half-brother or something that he met one time. So a lot of sad stuff.
Well, I think we know where this story is going, but what happened after San Diego? Did you even meet up?
So like San Diego, there was one day when he kind of broke up with me. Really, it was the day after he got to San Diego. We said that the project was behind. He had to fire the site manager and some coworkers, and he just didn't know if he could do this. And he didn't really want to lose contact, but he felt like things were moving too fast. I didn't know what to do and where to go after that. I actually went on Tinder that night again.
Oh, wow. You were like, screw this guy. Goodbye.
It had only been a week and a half. And that next day, I was just like, you know what? I don't deserve this. Usually when guys tell you this stuff is gone, you know, it's like, I'm not going to hold my breath. But then he texted me that morning just to say, hey, how you doing? And I said, I'm busy right now. I can't chat. I was mad that he did this 180 on me. And then I said, I need some space. I need a couple of days. I need some space. And he said something like, if this ends up being the end of it, just know that I think you're beautiful and amazing.
I just want to vomit all over the place. I got to ask you a question. You just have to, next time you're doing this, invite me over. I'll just sit and drink coffee in the background and be like, no, not him. See you later, bozo.
Oh my God.
So there's two things that I'm curious about, but the first one is based on something that we happen to know about romance scams, which is a more recent tactic that scammers are using is to break up.
I wondered that.
And they do it because you're like, endorphin, no endorphin.
Okay.
Panic.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. You are my heart, endorphin.
Yeah.
And then it cements the feelings inside of your head.
That's funny you say that because I feel like there were two particular hooks. And the one was the day he told me he was thinking about me when he was playing golf. And the second one was that one because that night he goes, can I just call you? I know you need space. And I said, I just give you a couple days. The next morning, I was just like, oh my God, I'm so in love. All these emotions came over me. I texted him. I said, I needed to sleep on it. I don't need a couple days, because he was so touchy. He was crying, on the phone with me. That was the big hook. That was the one that had me. I was gone after that until the scam ended. I disappeared.
Was he sending you pictures of himself? I mean, did he send you pictures of where he was? What was going on? Like, what was the media, texting thread like at that point?
He didn't text me nearly as many pictures. I mean, he says he's just not, he's like, sorry, I don't send you as many. I said, that's fine. He sent me a few.
And what was he like on the phone?
Oh my God, it was all about me. I think you're amazing and you're just so talented and beautiful and oh my God, it was the same. And the big term of endearment was my queen. And we started talking twice a day. Some of the conversations weren't all that long, but we had a couple of 2-hour conversations because we were on different time zones too, especially when we went to Qatar.
How did he end up in Qatar?
Well, he was in San Diego. He told me that a while ago he had completed a job. It was a construction job in Qatar about a year ago, but never got paid for it because of COVID. So they had to get out of there. He was invited to meet with the board of directors and had to fly over there to meet with them regarding the payment.
At this point, were you dating? I mean, did you call yourselves boyfriend and girlfriend?
So the point he went over to Qatar, we were deeply in love and we talked. We were unofficially engaged. We talked. He was going to move here, retire, start a real estate business. And we were talking marriage and we were engaged already, basically. We had to prepare for this meeting with the board to see if he could get the payout for this job. And he had to get a lawyer over there because he had to put all the documentation together. And then he had to get a translator because he was in the Middle East. So he was sending me the documents. He paid his lawyer. He sent me the bank receipt for that.
What was his reasoning behind sending you the receipt? That sounds pretty suspicious.
A friend of mine said that. And the only thing that I was thinking at the time was, we are engaged. We're going to get married. He wanted to share that stuff with me. That's what I thought, that he simply was trying to be open and let me, just keep me in the loop. And I actually felt deep appreciation for that. But I also felt like it proved he was who he said he was. He had to make another payment. He said he was having trouble logging into his account. So the next day he gave me the password and the username and I was able to log in. I made the transfer and it looked successful. And then he had to pay translator. He still couldn't log in. Me try it. I couldn't do it. But his account was locked out due to suspicious activity. So he's like, I have to go. I have to figure this out. So at the end of that day, he was working with his account manager at the bank. He had to go to the bank in person to prove his identity, and that was in England. And he could not leave car. He had to raise the money for the translator, and that's where I come in. I said, you know what? I have money in my retirement. Just hold on, honey, relax. I'm talking to my friend. And it made it sound like he did not want to burden me with this. But they had the meeting came and went, and he couldn't have it. And he was just so devastated. I sent him a message and said, I'm going to go to the bank. I get some loans out to help you. And he called me. He was crying. He was just like, no one's ever loved me like this before. And
what kind of money did he need at this point?
$21,000.
$21,000 to pay for a translator or to pay for?
Yeah.
I used to work as a translator, didn't I, Travis?
You did indeed.
I did, and I made nowhere near $21,000 for anything. Not only that, but nowadays Google can do it for free. You logged into his bank account, which is really, I don't think that my partner has ever logged into my bank account, and I don't know that I would want her to be able to be perfectly honest. And but that says more about me probably than anyone else. At any rate,
And they say romance is dead.
yeah. She doesn't listen to the show anyway. We're good. So you get in there and you see a balance. What balance does he have in that bank account?
Well, it's just $700,000.
Yeah, 700,000. And can you also see transactions, or did you look at the transaction history?
Yeah, I looked at. They looked fine to me. They looked like there was a payment to his lawyer, and I didn't see anything that looked really suspicious.
So when you accessed his bank account, was that through an app or a website?
It was just a link that he gave me through, because we were chatting through Skype at this point. So it was a link, and I clicked on the link.
I'm assuming it was a cloned or fake webpage of some sort, just to be able to say, like, look how much money I have, but not actually connected to a real account.
Yeah.
So did you actually send $21,000 to him?
I sent him 26 because of the Bitcoin ATM fee.
Pardon me, madam, you mentioned Bitcoin?
Yeah.
So how did he wanted you to send the money in Bitcoin?
Yeah. He acted like he didn't know much about it, because he has this one close friend that he said the best way to do it, probably to get it to him, was through Bitcoin ATM. And exactly how I did it. I took out a lot of cash, and I'm surprised my bank did not wonder why I was taking out. I took it out in chunks, but 12,000 at one point, and yeah. So I made like 4 or 5 different transactions.
And you felt okay about it? Or tell me, how did you feel about it at the time? I
felt okay. Like, I usually was one that was kind of tight with money, like, I was afraid that I was not going to have enough. So I was really surprised that this didn't freak me out. I had a couple moments where I was like, oh God, what am I doing? But it wasn't really strong. I felt okay. And I knew I have money in my retirement account. I knew I had money. I even did a scenario in my head. If this doesn't work out, I have the money to pay off these loans, and I can say that I did it for love. And I knew if it didn't work out, I wouldn't care about the money because I'd be so heartbroken.
At the end of the day, if you can't allow love to guide you, what's the point of being alive?
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting. You just told us that sending the money was your idea. He never actually asked you to send him money.
Yeah.
How do you think Richard was able to get you to send $26,000?
That's a good question. I feel like he was such an experienced scammer. He had me in so deep that, like, why wouldn't I want to do this? And this payout was supposed to be, another red flag, $10 million in this job. Five of it would have been like, he had to pay the contractors. He worked really hard for that money. It took a year for him to actually get to this point that I wanted to help him. It just feel like such a hard worker, such an honest guy. And I just felt like he deserved that. And I was at that point, so I feel like it just seemed natural to offer. I often wonder that. I don't know. And he threw that back in my face later on. Like, well, I never asked you,
When did you actually find out it was a scam?
He got the money. He had the meeting. It was the success. He met with the financier for the payout. I'm in LA. I went to see a friend in LA. And he was going to come back the day before I got back to LA. And we were going to meet. The meeting with the financier, and they want him to do an inspection. And I'm like, you're not coming home, are you? You're not going to come home this week. I knew it at that point. What happened? I got home from LA. He was still stuck over at Qatar, and he asked the financier if I could handle the payout as his fiance. So I signed this fake beneficiary form, asked if we should do this through crypto or a bank check. They said a bank check would take longer. There's fees. Let's do this through crypto. We sent me the website to create an account. Then we formulated an email to send customer service, assigned me an account manager who reached out through WhatsApp. I reached out to him on WhatsApp. I gave him the beneficiary form. They needed my driver's license, and I sent all that. And they said everything that's good. There's $10 million to show up in this account 24 to 48 hours. later. And so 2 days later, it showed up. And I asked, well, how do I convert this to cash? How do I get this into my bank account? He goes, well, first of all, there's an activation fee of $50,000 to get the money out. And I'm like, what? Thinking, why didn't anybody, like I said, how come no one told me this? And so I went back to Richard and told him, and they couldn't take it out of the $10 million. You had to pay it up front. And so I said, well, I have the money in my retirement. I could talk to my financial advisor. So I called him and I told him everything that transpired. And as I'm saying this out loud, I'm like, really sounds bad. I mean, I never heard it out loud. And the other thing is, I still didn't think he was a scammer. I thought maybe the company was scamming him or that he was getting screwed over. But him and his financial advisor and his team are trained in romance fraud. And he said, I have to tell you this. I think you are in a romance scam. And I was like, what? I'm thinking, but now this is real love. I couldn't believe it, but I couldn't ignore it either. He was required to call in the fraud department. He didn't want to release funds to me. Sent me some articles and I'm dumbfounded. I read the articles. I started to cry. I don't know how to back out of it. I don't know if I want to cut him off or confront him, but how do I stall him? He goes, well, tell him I'm out of town 2 weeks and you cannot get the money out. You have to sign a form and you cannot get the funds out until I'm back.
Oh my gosh. So your financial advisor knows the beats of like counter scamming the scammer. Nice.
Yeah.
You should give him an extra little, should send him a box of chocolates.
Yeah, and we've always had a good relationship. So I'm an actor. I do acting. And so I played along for a week, making him think he's going to get $50,000 out of me. And my financial advisor took it a step further and said, try to get some of your money back. I have the type of retirement account. It's a non-qualified, so it's tax. How long you need the taxable money to get the $50,000, which would be like $7,000. See if they will give you $7,000 to get this $50,000. And I tried, and he's like, I told Richard, and he said he went to his friend. He went to one of his ex-wife's friends or whatever. And I got later in the week, I realized, and I didn't think he was going to get me the money, but it was fun to play along.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there's one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso Virtuo Coffee Machines. Ready to enjoy the bold flavors of barista-quality Nespresso iced coffee at home? Simply fill a glass with ice and press the brew button on your Virtuo Pop machine to enjoy rich double espressos roasted to stand up even when chilled. Refreshingly bold iced coffee. Refreshingly easy to make at home. Visit Nespresso.com to shop now.
Can you describe the moment when you realized that you might have been the victim of a romance scam? How did you feel?
I never felt lonelier in my life. And I called one of my friends who knew part of the story, but she didn't know the whole story. And I told her I had to tell somebody. I just couldn't keep it inside. Well, I got off the phone with my financial advisor and I was in shock. It took me a while to actually, I held on to hope quite some time after that this was real. I didn't feel the full impact of it. And I think that's probably what kept me sane, but I was really, really, I thought I was going to be spending Christmas with Richard. And it turns out I was going to spend alone and coming to terms with the fact that I was just in a romance scam.
Did you ever find out who the fake Richard really was?
Well, I found the pictures on a site called Tim Eyes, maybe a week and a half after the scam ended. I saw a documentary and a woman looked up her scammer on Tim Eyes, and I looked him up and all these pictures came up, and it's a German guy named Alexander.
So what did you do at that point?
Well, I started telling all my friends to get support, and every single one of them was very supportive. I went to my family's house December 30th, and everybody knew about it. They thought I should block them. They said, you should do this right now while you've got the support of your family. I said, he has to know that I know. So my cousin writes this 5-line, little poem limerick. I titled it A Poem from Your Queen. And I sent that to him and I blocked him. And I blocked him, but I don't know if you know, on Gmail, your blocked emails go to a spam account that you can still access, which what did I do the next day? I checked it. Sure enough, these heartbroken messages like, how could you ever think this of me? Oh my gosh. And I caved. I mean, I had to know. I had to find out. I wasn't going to give him any more money. I knew that. Well, I got back in touch and he just, over the next 2 days, he played this heartbreak, this no terms of endearment, nothing. You broke my heart. You broke me, but I still love you. I can't stop loving you. I can't stay mad at you, but you broke my heart. And it was just, I felt the manipulation. I think I was pulled out of the scam enough to see the manipulation. And it was just, even the suicide card, he said, what if I had taken my own life? And I'm like, no, real or not, I don't want somebody that's threatening suicide. So
You mentioned the poem before, and I was wondering if you have it and if you'd be willing to read it for us.
it says that for it, and I said, okay. She smiled as she said, it's over. Your romance scam, it can't control her. So I'm blocking your number. Right on off, sure. I'll no longer be your hapless cash donor.
Nice. Good poem. What else did you do in the aftermath of this swindle? Like, what was your getting better from it?
I decided to just live my life. I felt like I held back a lot before, and one of my favorite things to do is improv. I take improv classes. I like to perform improv, so I decided to start going to shows and taking classes, hanging out with friends. I just made that quick decision that I know this is going to hurt for a while, but I'm not going to let it take me down. So, and I bought chocolate to the guy. Yeah. I like to dance, so sometimes I like have what I call dance parties in my living room. Just it feels good just to get the energy out. And I do a support group.
A support group of people who've specifically been involved in a romance scam?
Catfished and people that have been catfished in a romance scam. So I get on those calls most Sundays. It's real laid back. It's just a lot of chatting, and everybody gets to give updates on how they're doing or if their case is being investigated. It's not like a real structured group. It's just like sitting around with a bunch of people and chatting and talking about the scams and what's going on. And that always seems to help me when I do those good shut Sundays.
In the support group, what's one thing that you've been really surprised by that you found out about by talking with other people?
After the scam, and it's really confusing to separate the scammer from the person that you thought you fell in love with. So at first, they're kind of still the same person. So there's still that feeling of being in love with that person, even though you know they scammed you out of your money. It's hard to separate from the love. It takes a lot of time to do that. So I feel like everybody has had that experience.
Your ordeal with Richard the Turd is a cautionary tale for anyone who might be susceptible to the dangers of online romance scams. And if you want to know who's susceptible, I would like to underline anyone, really anyone, especially if you happen to be single, which in these days of online alienation can be a rather chronic state. So if you're looking for love, online might be the place you go, and there are people who know how to capitalize on your search. Now, the thing that's really striking is they seem to really have this down. It is a company. I mean, they're just as accomplished about what they do as FTD at sending flowers.
What do you want people to know, Beth? What's the takeaway here? What do people need to know in order for this never to happen to them?
Don't assume everyone you meet is real. If they're telling you how much they care about you so soon, that's a red flag. If you're about to meet and then they have to suddenly go out of town, if it gets to the point where they ask you for money, a real person will never ask you for money. The conversations were very different. It was give and take. It was different. It was just basic questions back and forth and getting to know each other about love so soon.
It sounds like you're saying until you know. And when I say knowing here really does mean you've met the person, you've had a chance to see where they live, and maybe they bought dinner one of those times, then you should be skeptical. I think that's sort of what it sounds like to me.
You should meet within the first week or two at the very most, I would say. And yes, they can do that. All of that was fake. I thought he really had money. Everything they can, passport, social security card, stuff like that. So just don't trust them just because you see some documents that look real.
Beth, you've been wonderful to hang out with. It's been really great to hear your story, and we want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's been great hanging out with you guys, too. Thanks for listening to my story.
Okay, now it's time for the tinfoil spawn.
Our paranoid takeaway to keep you safe on and offline.
So election season is kind of like really here.
Yeah, I can tell by the constant barrage of texts and emails I'm getting begging me for money.
Well, that's because it's primary season, friends. And if you live in a solid blue or red state, primary season is election season. And that means it's just as important to be on the lookout for election-related scams this time of the year as it will be in the fall. And one of the most widespread scams out there are scam PACs.
Right. Those are political action committees that are claiming to raise money for a particular cause or legislation or a candidate. And unlike the real ones, they're pocketing the money.
Yeah, for a quick example here, there was one of these called the Law Enforcement for a Safer America PAC, and that raised over $14 million in 2022, and it spent over 87% of its income on fundraising.
They're not illegal, thanks to our system of allowing dark money in elections. They're actually just a convenient hook for a criminal.
So how do you recognize these PACs?
I think one big one is just to be leery of anything that's trying a little too hard to tug at your heartstrings. Emails from these scam PACs usually go way over the top, and they describe things like cops getting shot and widows and orphans getting tossed into volcanoes. It's really meant to provoke a strong reaction.
Well, in addition to being standard scammer behavior, that's pretty much how every single Trump email works. So I'm not quite sure if we're any farther. Adam, what do you have?
Well, you need to do your homework. I mean, with any charity or advocacy organization, check to see if they're registered and look at how and where donations are spent.
And if you don't have time for that, don't give any money. No, I'm kidding. Just, stick to organizations that you do know. Whether that's the NRA or the ACLU, Biden, Trump, how you get where I'm going.
So stick with what you know. Donate to a candidate you understand that shares your beliefs. Mm-hmm. You'll be a lot safer.
Yep.
And if you are going to donate any money politically, you should consider setting up a burner email account like traviselection2024@gmail or something like that. Because once you donate to one campaign, your email address and contact information gets repackaged and shared over and over and over again, and that does make it harder to spot the scammy fundraising emails.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm Adam Levin, and I approve this tinfoil swan.
What the Heck with Adam Levin is a production of Loud Tree Media. You can find us online at adamlevin.com and on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Adam K. Levin.
Behind every empire are the people history tried to forget. Lost Roman Heroes tells the stories of the remarkable characters who shaped Rome from its mythical beginnings to its final fall.
Each episode blends armchair storytelling, sharp historical insight, and a bit of humor to bring these lost figures to life. From generals to scientists, from rebels to empresses, from priests to politicians, these lost Roman heroes have one thing in common.
They stood up for civilization when the bad guys threatened, and in doing so, they changed the course of human history. If you're into history that's vivid, surprising, and deeply human, this show's for you.
Behind every great meal is a person with a story to tell. Hear them on Culinary Characters Unlocked, the podcast that reveals the lives behind the food. Hosted by me, David Page, Emmy Award-winning journalist and creator of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, as I talk with everyone from culinary legends to mom-and-pop standouts about the creativity, grit, and passion that shape the food we love. Follow Culinary Characters Unlocked on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.